Hello everybody. Today we are going to discuss work and energy part 2. Last day we have discussed about the definition of work. And we have discussed that whenever some external force is applied on a body and due to the application of the force, if the body moves in a specific direction, then work is said to be done. But if the external force is applied on a body and due to the application of that force, instead of application of that force, the body doesn't move at all. That means there is no such displacement in a specific direction. Then the work is not said to be done. We have discussed about this topic the last day. Now we are going to discuss the energy. Energy and work, these are interrelated because energy means capacity to do the work. Whenever you are doing some work, so after some time you got exhausted. Why? Because you have due to the lack of energy. The energy stored inside your body because whenever you eat something that gives you the energy to do some work, to perform some work. And whenever you are doing some work, then the energy gets wasted. That means it exhausted in the form of heat energy. And due to the gradual losing of your energy, lack of energy, you get exhausted after some time. So, energy and work, these are interrelated. And not only that, say you and your friend, you have to do some work. The amount of work is same, but if you do that work rather quickly as compared with your friend, then you supposed to have a greater amount of energy because both of you are doing the same work, but since you took the less time to complete the work, that means you have more energy to do that work. So whenever you do some work, then you need some energy to perform that work. And whenever you are doing some work, the energy is ultimately exhausted in the form of heat energy, and you have to take some rest to regain your energy level to complete the desired work. So from this discussion, it is very clear, I think so, that energy is the capacity or the ability to do work. Now we are going to discuss energy means ability to do the work. Now we are going to discuss the different types of the energy. First of all, the mechanical energy. Energy possessed due to the motion or the position of the body. Categorically, it has the two parts, kinetic energy and the potential energy. Now, since you are the beginners, so this segregation, the two part of the mechanical energy, one is the kinetic energy and another is the potential energy. It is not discussed in your book. The question will not come related with kinetic or potential energy. But I am going to tell you this one, that whenever a body is in the state of rest due to its position, it has a capacity to do some work. And whenever a body is in a motion, then also it has a capability to do some work. So this is the category of the mechanical energy. Either it in the form of kinetic energy or it is in the form of potential energy. For example, if I give you one example, that if you place a small stone on a glass window, so what will happen? Nothing. But if you throw that stone from a distance to that glass window, what will happen? The glass will crack. Why? Because the stone initially it was raised, but if you throw that one, then due to the motion of that stone, it acquires some amount of energy to crack the glass. So this is the kinetic energy. And potential energy means that, say a body is in a rest position, but if you move that object from its original position, so it has always a tendency to go back to its initial position. So whenever it has a tendency to regain its original shape or its original position, then it has a capacity to do some work. So this is actually the position. It matters. That is the potential energy. For example, if you think about a bow and arrow, now if you stretch the string of the bow, so actually you are deformed the shape. You stretch the bow, that string of the bow, so it has a tendency to regain its original position. Now if you release the string, then it has a tendency to go back its original position, and since it has a tendency to go back its original position, the arrow moves in a direction. And you will learn about, in this chapter only I will discuss a little bit in detail, that hydroelectricity, hydro energy, how to generate the electricity from the moving water. So mechanical energy means the ability to do some work due to the energy possessed by the objects, either since it has a movement or it is in the rest position, and if you just some due to some force you just move that object from its rest position, then it has a tendency to regain its original shape and its original position, then it has a capacity to do some work. So that is the mechanical energy. Mechanical energy is energy possessed due to the motion or the position of the body. Categorically it has the two parts: kinetic energy, the energy possessed by a moving body, and the potential energy, the energy possessed by the object due to its position. Okay, now come to the next part: electrical energy. Energy which comes from the electric power plant. You know that thermal power station situated at Titagarh or Bokreshwar or many other places all over in India and all over in world, that electrical energy, that means this thermal power plant, by the burning of the fossil fuel coal, they produce the electrical energy. So this electrical energy is a kind of energy which actually produced by the electrical power plant, and you are aware that electricity is the necessary for our daily work. The fan is running or moving, that means or you are switch on the light, or you running a computer, whatever, all the electrical gadgets, electric heater or whatever. So these are the electrical energy which comes from the electrical power plant by burning of fossil fuels like coal. Next is the heat energy. Heat energy, that means it produces the energy, and mainly you know that the heat energy, the main source of, ultimate source of all kind of energy is sun. So sun gives us the heat energy. It is the ultimate source. And not only that, if you burn some fossil fuel like wood or coal or petrol or kerosene or diesel, it also gives you the heat energy to run a machine. Next is that light energy. Energy that enables us to see. Energy that enables us to see that the things that around us. So this is due to the light energy. And light energy, the source of light energy is all luminous body. The luminous body means which is capable to emit the light from of its own. For example, sun. In all cases, sun is the ultimate source of light energy and as well as the heat energy. And if you think that candle, if you ignite a candle, then it produces the flame which gives us the light. If you switch on the tube or the bulb, it also gives us the light energy. So light energy is a kind of energy by use of which kind of energy we are able to see the object around us. Next is the wind energy. Energy that comes from moving air or moving wind to generate electricity. For this purpose, to generate the electricity, we are using the moving air or the moving wind. Now, the windmills which is situated in the different seashores, like in the seashores of Kanyakumarika or this kind of seashore where where is a continuous flow of blowing wind. Wind velocity should not be less than 25 to 30 kilometer per hour. This kind of wind velocity is required to rotate the blades of a windmill. And by using that windmill, that means by rotating the blades of the windmill with the help of the blowing air or the wind, we are able to generate the electricity. So this is the wind energy that comes from the moving air or the wind to generate electricity by the use of windmills, by the power of windmills. Next is the solar energy. You know that ultimate source of energy, solar energy comes from the sun, and by using the solar energy we can generate the electricity also. And for this purpose, that means the modern age, we are actually using the solar panels or the solar cells in the different office to generate the electricity by trapping the energy, heat energy and the light energy that comes from the sun. Okay, solar energy, ultimate source of energy comes from sun. Next is the hydro energy. I have discussed this a few minutes back. Energy that comes from the moving water to generate electricity. The electricity which is generated by the burning of the fossil fuel is termed as the thermal electricity. Thermal, the Greek word thermal means thermo, that means it produces the heat energy. So thermal electricity produced by the burning of the fossil fuels like coal. And hydroelectricity, it is also the kind of energy. Hydroelectricity, it's a kind of electricity which can generate by the use of hydro energy. Hydro means water. Hydro means water. The energy that comes from the moving water to generate electricity. A few minutes back, I have discussed about the kinetic energy and the potential energy. To generate the hydroelectricity, we are actually using a dam. In a dam, it is situated at the top. And in that dam, there is a storage of huge amount of water. Now, water has a tendency to seek its own level. That means if you flow the water, it always comes to the downward. That is, water seeks its own level. Now, if you open the gate of that barrage, then what will happen? Then the water will flow from a certain height to downwards with a huge velocity or huge speed. And at that moment, if you rotate a turbine is a kind of machines having the wheels or the blades. Now, if you rotate that turbine, then the water falls from a certain height and it has a velocity and water seeks its own level. So, due to the upper position, now think about the potential energy. To generate the hydroelectricity, it is an example of potential energy. Now, water seeks its own level. So, water comes from a upper level to the lower level with a huge speed. Now, if you rotate a turbine, then due to the rotation of the turbine, it produces the electricity which is known as hydroelectricity. And this is due to the fact of hydro energy that comes from the moving water to generate electricity. So these are the category of the different types of the energy. Now we are going to discuss the last part of this chapter, that is renewable and non-renewable sources of energy. Now the renewable sources, it's obviously a natural source, and from the name it reveals that you can be used that kind of energy again and again. That means with the help of the renewable sources of energy, you can regenerate it again and again. And the most important fact is that it is actually not pollute the atmosphere. It is a clean fuel. So you know that the global warming is gradually, it actually creates a chaos due to the global warming, the natural calamities that actually happens in the today's world, melting of the glacier, tsunami, earthquake, forest fire, these are due to the gradual increase in the Earth's average temperature, which is known as the global warming. And the main responsible for this fact is different kinds of the non-renewable sources of energy, like that which can pollute the atmosphere. That means if you think about the burning of the fossil fuel, this is a kind of non-renewable sources of energy. You cannot use that kind of non-renewable sources of energy again and again, because ultimately it exhausted, it finished. So if the amount of coal that is actually a limited, and gradually day by day the amount of crude oil, amount of coal gradually decreasing, but it creates a huge pollution in the atmosphere. Ultimately that will be exhausted, all that kind of energy that comes from the sun, and that actually create a pollution in our atmosphere. So it is not advisable to use the non-renewable sources of energy. Better to switch over the renewable sources. But the main point is that the renewable sources of energy, the initial cost is very high, and it is not actually, it is already in the up in the country like European country or America, they are using, because they are financially very well established country, so they are using that kind of renewable sources of energy in different fields. But like India or many other countries are there, they are not so much rich, wealthy country. So it is not possible for government of India to establish in all sectors the renewable sources of energy, but the process is going on. What are the advantages of renewable sources? First of all, it actually not pollute the atmosphere. Next to our natural resources like that energy that comes from the sun, energy that comes from the moving water. These are the examples: wind energy, solar energy, hydro energy. These are the examples of renewable sources of energy, because these are the natural sources, either sun or the moving water or the moving wind, and it cannot pollute the atmosphere. And then you can use that kind of energy again and again, and the resources of that kind of energy can be replenished over a short period of time. That means you can use that kind of energy for, and since it that kind of resources of the energy that can be replenished over a short period of time, and that's the reason it provides us the energy for a long period of time. So these are the discussion of this chapter, work and energy. Thank you.